Well, it's the start of another daily draft feature here on Jones and Keefe. Wow. Leading up to the NFL draft, 10 days, 8 hours, 14 minutes, 22, 21, 20 seconds, where the Patriots select, we think at 4 on April 24th. We'll see if they move the pick. But each and every day here on Jones and Keefe, 11:45, we want to get your thoughts on an individual prospect and simply whether or not you would hate it or love it if the Patriots took that player at pick number 4. We'll start with a guy who I don't think they're going to get, Keith, but I want data on this anyway. Travis Hunter at pick 4. I know your answer, but do you hate it or love it if the Patriots got him at 4?
I love it. It's the most I could love anything. We're going to go through a bunch of names between now and then, and there's nothing more. Obviously, it's one or the other. This is like the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yes.
It's either up or down, right? Thumbs up or thumbs down. So there will be others that we talk about that I will give a love it to, but it won't outweigh how much I love this one. This would be...
Our scale can't measure how much you would love it. Got it.
If they just lost week 18 and they had the number 1 pick and they couldn't find any kind of trade down partner to add 1 million picks and they had to take a guy at 1, this is who I would take. I think he can play both sides at the next level. I have no idea how many snaps. I would throw a lot at him at first and see if he can do it. But you have a need still at wide receiver, a young wide receiver. But also, you can always use cornerbacks. I know they got Carlton Davis, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't be able to find some playing time there. He's a dynamic, special, generational type talent, so I would be thrilled with this.
I would love it, as would Keith. And I can't I'm surprised at how polarizing he is. I don't really even get how polarizing he is.
So I'm starting to kind of get it, because we got this early on. This is one of the guys we've talked about the most in the last couple of months. And from taking calls and reading texts and tweets, there is like an anti-Deion bias for whatever reason. People don't like Deion. I guess that's fine.
So people don't like Deion, which I agree is fine.
But then they take it out on Hunter.
Well, that's what I don't get.
It's one thing if you don't like Shadur because you don't like Deion. There's a much closer relationship there and connection there. But Travis Hunter was a top-end high school player before he ever met Deion, got recruited by all these places in the country, but they all were like, you got to play one side of the ball. Deion said you could play 2. So he goes to Jackson State, and then Deion gets the job at Colorado. He goes there and only gets better, wins the Heisman last year. I'm not going to – I like Deion, but even if you don't like Deion, I'm not putting that on Travis Hunter.
Well, and that's what I don't get. If people don't like Deion and he's polarizing, that's fine. You're wrong. I mean, he was – people told me he wouldn't be good at Colorado. He's been great at Colorado. So I would disagree with you on Deion, but I at least get it. I don't get what's polarizing about Travis Hunter. I would love the pick. If he's available at 4, which he probably won't be. But again, let's run the gamut here. Let's make sure we cover ourselves for players who may not be available, players who we know will be available, and then maybe they're players they're reaching on a little bit. This is a daily series. We're starting with Hunter, who right now, odds on, will go number 2 to Cleveland. I've said this about him a lot. I think he's the rare prospect who is super safe. I think you know he's going to be an NFL corner.
Yeah.
And if he's also an NFL receiver on top of it, he's high floor and super high ceiling. And I don't think that
highest ceiling.
I don't think that comes along often.
It's like drafting 2 players.
Usually you're sacrificing one for the other. Right. You're going for a floor player, Will Campbell, who doesn't have much ceiling. Or you're swinging for the fences on a player who could whiff. I think Travis Hunter is the best of both worlds on that front. I would love the pick. You can vote now at Jones and Keefe. This is what we're going to do each and every day.
We're going to keep tabs on this.
Twitter poll. We'll track it. We're going to do this with each and every prospect we deem in the mix for the Patriots at pick number 4, or even if they move down a few spots in the mix somewhere with their first pick.
So was that like 8 guys we're going to have?
I think we're going to cover 7 or 8 leading into the draft. We have 7 shows, depending on how we want to do it before draft day. So we're going to cover like 7 or 8 prospects. We'll track all of this, and we'll deem who you like the most, who you dislike the most, and then we'll have some numbers going into the pick on draft night on April 24th. So both Keefe and I love it. You can vote at Jones and Keefe on Twitter and Instagram. Early returns, people would very much be on board with Travis Hunter.
And this also blends the, depending on how you feel about him as a wide receiver, it's both best player available in my mind and fits a need, which is kind of the best of both worlds, right? Because we said this team needs so much that you don't want to simply draft, best player, or you don't want to go based on need solely. However, you have a lot of them, so this could be one where it checks both boxes.
No, I agree with that. And I'm more skeptical about him as a receiver than most. I'd still love the pick because I think he's not going to miss as a defensive player, and he has the upshot as a number 1 wide receiver.
Also, this is like a little bit lower down the line, but there is something too, and we talked about this the year that they got Drake May and even the Christian Gonzalez year. Just like, how many entertaining players do you have? How many like jerseys are you selling to like kids? Like the must-see TV guys, like the entertainment product of the sport.
You shouldn't make your pick based on that.
No.
But for us, like selfishly, that's a good thing. Like a polarizing player, a player people are interested in, and for craft, for business, that's a good thing.
But even as a fan, I mean, it got to a point last year, those first 5 games with Jacoby Brissett, like, what am I watching here? Like, what even is this? And not that Drake May was, 50 touchdowns, no picks, but he went in there and you're like, all right, there's something to watch. You could see, especially as like a young kid, being like, all right, that's my favorite player now, and then you go from there. Travis Hunter would have the same impact. Even a guy that's not a quarterback, he would have that kind of impact.
So first in this series, hate it or love it, on Jones and Keefe. We're going to get to Abdul Carter tomorrow. He's visiting the Patriots today. It's his 4th and final visit. So we'll get to Carter tomorrow, who right now is the odds-on favorite to go 3rd. 1 pick before the Patriots, and we'll keep working our way down the list as we get to draft day on April 24th. Meantime, let's mix in some phone calls. This is Mike up in Maine. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for taking the call. So yesterday, Justin Rose, out of the day, 7 shots off the lead. Plays his heart out all day long, gets to the playoff hole, hits a great second shot, gives him a chance at the putt. And your takeaway is he choked?
Well, I mean, I think he was 3 over on Saturday, and I think every time he got the lead down the stretch yesterday, he bogeyed. He got the lead on, 13, and he bogeyed the next hole. He had the lead on 17, and he bogeyed that. So on some level, yeah, he choked it away, yes. I know he was great on the back 9, but every time he got the lead, he gave a shot right back to Rory.
God, I'm glad I didn't have you as a high school teacher as far as grading. Okay. That's all I can say.
That's
have
true.
a great day.
I mean, it sounds like
hang in there, Mike.
You had an easy ride through high school, it sounds like. Gifted a bunch of A's and B's. Kids don't work for it anymore. I mean, look.
Finally, the Justin Rose supporters I was looking for.
If that sounds,
thank God somebody will stand up for Justin Rose.
But if that sounds harsh, that Rose choked, maybe the gut's too strong, fine. DeChambeau choked. I mean, DeChambeau fell apart down the stretch, and that was the head-to-head competitor in Rose's group, and I'm sorry, in McElroy's group, rather. And I think to a degree, Rose kept choking it away down the stretch. His only bogey, he birdied basically everything, except when he got the lead, and he fell apart a couple of different times. So on the playoff hole, did he choke it? No. But he choked it on Saturday when he had the lead and gagged that away.
Well, it's also,
and he choked it a couple of times on the back 9.
But wasn't Rose alone after day 1? Atop the leaderboard,
yes. So he came racing out of the gates. Yeah,
I mean,
you had the lead.
Technically, what is that? So, if you have a big lead, I know it's only 1 round, but if you have a big lead after 1 and then you don't win the tournament, that technically I guess would be a choke.
But I guess if you want to speak up on behalf of Justin Rose,
finally,
we have more of that support.
Looking for you.
Than I
you heard the call.
So we'll get back into all your thoughts on the Masters yesterday. Were you watching? These guys were not locked in, surprisingly.
No.
So
now let me ask you: were you awake the whole time? People say it's a good little snooze day.
I did. You know what?
You snoozed during the Masters?
I would have snoozed. I typically will snooze a lot.
Yeah, you had
during
hams
golf.
involved, though. I think people without hams involved might have taken a little snooze.
Hams involved everywhere. I had Oberg. I was watching down the stretch.
I heard a lot about this Oberg. He didn't win you anything.
No, he didn't.
Ludwig Oberg.
Yeah. I call him Lou. I feel like me and Lou are on
Lou Berg.
Yeah. Bet him top 5, and he frittered that away.
7th. Yeah, sad.
I just needed a stroke there, Lou. That's all I needed.
He just, it's too much.
On many levels.
It's too much.
Is all I needed. But when it comes to the Masters yesterday.
I need to dump that?
Were you watching? And
that was a rejoin two rejoins ago.
What was that?
Billy Squire, the stroke.
I did. We got a handful of texts about that.
Yeah, we did.
When that came in.